Welcome back to Close Up. It's going to be a very interesting contest for the corner office at City Hall in Manchester this year. First and foremost, we don't know what the two-term incumbent Joyce Craig plans to do. And on top of that, it looks like we're going to have a competitive primary to narrow down the field. The first one to throw her hat in the ring is the 2019 challenger, Victoria Sullivan, and she is our guest on Close Up this morning. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Sullivan.
Good morning. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. So being mayor is not an easy
snowy
gig.
Spring day here in New Hampshire.
Oh, right. I know exactly. As we take this, it's snow falling in April. But being mayor, not an easy gig, ever. But it's exponentially more difficult and high stakes amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Tell us why you want that responsibility.
I chose the city to raise my family, and my husband and I love Manchester. Our kids love the city. They love their friends. They love being here. And through COVID-19, we had a chance to really shine as a city, to really show some leadership, and we just didn't have that leadership here. So we had problems going into COVID. Downtown, the businesses were already struggling because of the panhandlers and the homeless situation, and they were down about 3% in profits compared to the year before. So going into COVID, businesses were already struggling and they were just hit so much harder. But as we saw over the course of COVID, the way that the monies were used that came into the state actually grew our homeless situation. So we had huge camps by the bridge, by Canal Street, and we just had an encampment over at Firestone. And there really isn't any solution for these people being presented. They just moved, displaced, and they go someplace else. But we had almost $16 million returned to Manchester to be used for housing, for the homelessness, for substance abuse. And that money was used in a way that actually grew our problem on our streets.
So you believe Mayor Craig hasn't been doing the best possible job in this pandemic. What would you be doing differently right now?
I would have been out front for all of it. I mean, Governor Sununu has been out in front, leading the state, really showing leadership through really difficult times. I mean, everybody was trying to find their way through it. Nobody knew actually how to do this, but at least he was out there leading. We didn't have any kind of leadership in this city. We didn't have public meetings. If you wanted to even speak to your elected officials, you had to go through the clerk and, write your testimony and have that read to you. People should always have a place in front of their elected representatives. And she just wasn't anywhere to be seen. We had so many volunteers. I mean, this is a volunteer-run city. I really believe that. I believe our solutions are in our community. And we had volunteers that were still doing sports programs, that were helping me with book drives to get books in the hands of children because they didn't have school. The library wasn't open, but we needed to continue giving them reading materials. So we did book drives all over the city, and we delivered the books to the places where the children were picking up their food. For the kids that had free and reduced lunch that were doing without because they weren't in school buildings. We had people over at the Roca Kids Club that expanded their services to children and made it a place where they could come and study and learn, even if they were just doing the remote classes through the district. So we had so many volunteers that stepped up and they led, but we just didn't see leadership from City Hall.
How would you have approached the schooling issue? When would we have seen a Mayor Sullivan calling for a return to full-time in-person classroom education?
Well, as you know, there were schools around the city that actually did go back into school in September. They, the private schools, some of the charter schools, they worked over the summer to come up with a plan. And they've had some, stops and starts along the way. But for the most part, kids have been in school since September. Now, people will say, Manchester district is different. It is. But it's different for reasons that people aren't mentioning. We don't just use our school buildings to educate children. Yes, that's the #1 priority. But these kids also rely on the schools, some of them, for a warm place to be, for a warm meal, and just to be in front of an adult that can check on them. So it should have been a priority to get these kids back in the buildings. I did submit a proposal to the school board in the very beginning that would have allowed every student to be in school for half day, just like we used to have half-day kindergarten in the district, where you had some kids that went into school in the morning and then you had an afternoon session. It would have been the same. So you would have just divided the district up to morning and afternoon classes. Every child would have been in the building every day. And there would have been, of course, a contingency plan in place in case there were COVID clusters. But they would have had their meals. They would have had teachers. They would have had access to books from the school's libraries. And we really could have handled this much differently. And and a way that we prioritized our children and our families.
We know you're a supporter of Governor Chris Sununu, but and we saw he's just rescinding the mask mandate. But if you were mayor, would you have opposed his mask mandate?
I am a liberty conservative, so I oppose any mandates. I think we're adults. We can look at the science, we can look at the risks, and we can make those decisions on our own. I think most people, by the time the mask mandate went into place, were using the masks. The problem with the mandate is it empowers, it causes division, number one. I think we saw that, but it empowers people to try to enforce it on other citizens. And we did see a lot of that. There are people with medical exemptions to wearing the mask, and they shouldn't be put in a situation where they're being confronted by a fellow citizen because they think that they're doing something wrong. So people were wearing masks everywhere that I went. They still are. I'm sure they still will. But I think we need to let people be adults, look at the science, make decisions and choices for themselves.
In the last year, there's been a renewed focus on policing and police interactions with communities of color. Manchester Police Department has tried to be out in front on this, but how would you continue this reform process as mayor?
I'm a big proponent of community policing and peace officers. And I really know that we've tried to get some beat officers downtown and be more of a presence, but we really need to have these officers with their horses with the mounted police out in the trails where they can see the kids. It keeps an eye on the trails, which are now, pretty unusable in the eyes of most parents. But that would help keep down the crime in the trails and the littering in the trails. But it also people are very connected to the mounted police, and the kids find very approachable. So doing things like that really reach out to the community, having the police on bikes down the trails, talking to the kids when they're down there. And I think building those relationships is so important. My kids go to MPAL, and they go there for boxing. They love MPAL. They love the relationships that they're building with the police that are there. I love that the police give so much back to the kids in this community, and they really do. And I think we need to start focusing on the relationships between the officers and the citizens, regardless of race, creed, just in general. We need to be more of a community and build the city back up as a community.
We saw protests organized last year by the Black Lives Matter movement in Manchester. Do you believe that organization is a positive force for change?
I think that there are people involved in that organization that want to be a positive force for change. Now, the organization itself is so multifaceted. It's everywhere around the country. So how it's led in different areas, I can't speak to, but I think that the intention of it was such.
You've spoken already about downtown, and we've talked about policing. I'm curious about how those two things work together for you in terms of sort of resolving that homeless issue that you pointed to. People want that kinder, gentler police force, but also you have this situation where people are camping out, committing crimes. Sometimes people feel with some impunity there. So how do you balance the police reform while also trying to make downtown more inviting for people?
Sure, you want a kinder, gentler police force. Building that connection, though, between the citizens and the police, it empowers the police to do a better job because citizens are more willing to come forward when they have information about things that are happening. And there will be times where, police put their lives on the line for us, and there are going to be critical situations that are unpleasant for everybody, right? So it can't always be nice all the time. But when it comes to downtown, I know that I've talked to businesses down there, and we do have ordinances on the books where the police could move these people along, or we could, work with the organizations that do work with the homeless to try to find a better way to get them off the streets, get them the help and the care that they need. Police could be a vital part of that with that communication. We just need to bring everybody together, have a coalition of people that are working on the homeless problem that includes the police, that includes Liberty House, that includes the 1269 Cafe, and every other organization that is on the street working with these people. But we need to let the police do their job as well.
We could see education savings accounts pass in the state legislature this year. You were a big champion of that policy when you were serving in the state legislature for 2 terms as a Republican leader up there. So as mayor, how would you handle implementation if that does pass? Would we see you actively trying to put students into different situations, different schools outside of the public system?
No, I don't think that's the job of any mayor or any administrator. That's the job of the family. So if families wanted to move their children out of traditional public school because they thought that it was a better fit for them and they were able to access this, we should make that as seamless as possible for them. But we shouldn't judge people for doing that, which is what happens a lot in this conversation. You want to defund public school. No such thing. The funding mechanism is separate. And honestly, if we want to talk about equality in education and we want to give our most vulnerable a leg up, then we need to have school choice. And that doesn't necessarily mean using taxpayer money, which, just to remind people, that's actually, the parents are taxpayers too, so they actually have more control over their tax dollars. But we can also have school choice within the city, within the public schools in the district. We have 72 different languages being spoken at Beach Street Elementary School. How do you access all of those children? How do you give all of those children what they need? And the teachers, how could they possibly function and give every child what they actually need? So if we had school choice in the city, then we could take children from our most vulnerable populations in the poorest part of our city and lift them up into other schools where they have a better chance and they're assimilating better into our culture.
All right, Victoria Sullivan, candidate for mayor in Manchester. Once again, thanks for joining us on Close Up.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You as well.